I'm back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars offseason. A huge one for them. They got to hit on their free agents, and most importantly, in the draft. And if they don't, things could go from bad to worse for that Jacksonville franchise. So let's get right into it. First off, we got to re-sign Josh Allen. The Jaguars have no leverage around him, so they got to give him whatever money he wants. It's unfortunate, but man, it's not unfortunate because he's a great player. The man deserves the money that he's going to get. And if they don't re-sign him or they're trying to franchise tag him and Josh Allen's like, you know what, I'm just going to sit out, trade me, the Jaguars are basically screwed. They would have to start literally rebuilding if that wouldn't happen. You know, if he would walk or he would request a trade because he got franchise tag or something like that. So right now I would just give him whatever Josh Allen wants, and that's that. Re-sign him. As for Cleveland, he's versatile. He can play left guard, he can play right guard. He can even bump him out to tackle. So that versatility, why not, you know? We traded for him, so it just makes sense to re-sign him. Dawon Smoot tore his Achilles about 2 years ago. Obviously not the same guy, but he still gets that pressure on the quarterback. He can line him up inside and outside. I'm pretty sure he wants to stay in Jacksonville. Should be a pretty easy deal to get done, pretty cheap deal. So Dawon Smoot should stay. Hopefully he does. And then obviously Cam Robinson. I didn't add him on this list because it's a no-brainer as well, like Josh Allen. Maybe restructure Cam Robinson's contract, but that's about it. You know, you gotta keep him. He's the only physical tackle or lineman on the team right now, so Cam Robinson has to stay. So yeah. Who should walk and who should be cut? Starting off with Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff had a phenomenal first season with the Jaguars. Made a huge impact on the offensive line. But in the second season, injuries and his age caught up to him. Didn't look the same at all. So I do think the Jaguars do part ways with him. And then Darius Williams, in my opinion, is the best corner on the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. Led the league in deflections. If not, he's top 5. If we cut him, we free up $10 million. And we cut him as well, we have a gap at a cornerback position, but I believe Buster Brown can fill that role. Rashawn Jenkins is a tough cut because he's the leader of that defense. He's the heart. He gets everybody pumped up and everything. But he looked very sluggish this year. And cutting him, we free up $5 million. And we're going to need all the money we could get to re-sign Josh Allen and to get those free agents in the market. So, Brandon Sheriff, Williams, and Jenkins are the guys I would cut. And I believe Williams and Jenkins are both Jacksonville natives, which makes it hurt even more. So, it's unfortunate, but that's the way of business in the NFL. Right after the season ended, I had Calvin Ridely just leaving the team, you know, going to a different one on any money they offer him, just get away from Jacksonville. But the last interview he did, when they were cleaning out the locker rooms, he not only felt responsible for the Jaguars losing, he also wants to come back. And I did not expect that for him, so I was surprised and I'm happy, you know, that Calvin really does want to come back. And obviously he wants to get paid as well. He still needs money to feed his family and to take care of himself. But if we re-sign him, we lose that second-round pick. So I'm about to tell you guys how we could do that without losing that second-round pick. First things first, we got to restructure Christian Kirk's contract. We got to open up space, and Christian Kirk is going to be that guy that we restructure. And then earlier in the season, I would have had this meeting a long, long time ago with Calvin Ridely, because I'm not giving up a second-round pick at all. I mean, they literally gave up a third-round pick for him just playing, which is just crazy. I wouldn't never do that. Give up a third-round pick because of someone's playtime. No. Yeah, that's just, I don't like that. So, I would have had a meeting with Calvin Ridely way early in the season saying, hey, we want to re-sign you. We do. We want to re-sign you, but we're not going to give up that second-round pick. So, what we're going to do, we're going to let you go into the open market. The draft is going to pass. And we're going to re-sign you literally right after the draft. or once we're able to re-sign or sign free agents, you're going to be that guy we re-sign. Boom. End of story. That's that. Now he has an understanding of what's going to happen, what the process is going to be. But I'm pretty sure now it's already too late. I'm pretty sure you can't have those little meetings being like, hey, we're going to re-sign you at this time, blah, 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 doing that stuff. So now he's kind of in the dark. So it's going to be even more tougher to do this. But that's what I would have did. Had a meeting with him early in the season telling him, hey, we're going to re-sign you after the draft so we keep that second round pick, therefore making us better as a team, and keeping you makes us even better. And obviously we got to give him the money that he wants. Obviously if it's outrageous, then we don't give it to him. But if it's something that's, worthy, like a firm handshake one, yeah, we'll give it to him. But bringing him back not only helps Calvin Ridley, it helps Trevor Lawrence, and it helps the team as a whole. So I would try to get Calvin Ridley in free agency after the draft. That's how you do it. But doing this also comes at a risk. Other teams can offer him way more money, or he might get impatient and all that stuff, or he might not like what we did in the draft, stuff like that. And that's why it's all in his power, It's his decision, but I believe he does want to become a Jaguar or stay a Jaguar. So, yeah, this is what I would do. All right, free agency. First off, we got to sign our DC because we let go of Mike Cardwell, who, to be honest, I feel like was like a scapegoat to the Jaguars' failure. So I feel bad for him, getting fired. His whole family has to move now, essentially, to whatever team signs him. But I wish him the very best because, like I said, I feel like he was just kind of a scapegoat for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But for the Jaguars right now, I want Martindale as the defensive coordinator. He could be a little overly aggressive on the defensive side, but overall, I feel like the defense will be way better, way better. He was a Ravens linebacker coach, so he came from the Ravens culture. So I feel like he could bring in players from the Ravens organization. For example, that D tackle, who I believe is ranked number 2 in free agencies right now. I apologize, I don't really know his name. And then Isiah Simmons, who he just played with or coached last season, who had his best season, was Martindale as an edge rusher for the New York Giants. So I think he has incentive for other players to come play for Jacksonville, and he's a great defensive coordinator. Again, that Giants defense isn't ranked high. If you watch the tape and watch them play, that defense was the heart of New York City, the New York Giants, because that offensive group for the Giants was not cutting it. Saquon Barkley got a little banged up. Obviously, he played phenomenal this season, but he got a little banged up. Quarterback position, rotating consistently. It was DeVito for a second. There was Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Dimes, and then the offensive line, and then the receiver group is. You got some guys out there. You got Hyatt, you got Robinson, Slayton. So you have guys, but you just don't have that guy that could take over games. So for free agent targets that I want the Jaguars to go after is Isiah Simmons, the guy I just brought up, who had his best season with the New York Giants, playing as an edge rusher instead of playing middle linebacker or safety, like how the Cardinals had him. I don't know why, but when he came out of college, just instantly, he reminded me of Telvin Smith, just a more athletic Telvin Smith, just more freakish. He's tall, he's lengthy, he's super fast. That was my comparison for Isiah Simmons, was Telvin Smith. And I think if we get Martindale, Isiah Simmons will follow along, especially if we get Cristian Wilkins. Cristian Wilkins is the one I want to primarily go after, because we do need that interior D tackle. His stock might be a little bit down because that 15-yard penalty that basically gave the Chiefs the win. Teams might be looking at that, but to me, the Jaguars need a little bit of that edge. So Cristian Wilkins is the guy I'm primarily focusing on in the offseason. Not only because he played with Trevor Lawrence, but I believe we need that edge from him, that competitiveness, that high energy guy. We just need that type of character. I think Cristian Wilkins will be a perfect fit for the Jaguars if the Dolphins don't franchise tag him or do anything. I think the Jaguars should pursue him. And then Jeremey Chinn, he's very unlikely for the Jaguars to sign. I just want, if I was like the GM, I would literally just hit him up a little bit, see what he wants, see if he's willing to play, tell him what his role would be on the Jaguars. Obviously, if we cut Jenkins, Johnson would be the guy that steps into that position. But Jeremey Chinn, to me, coming out of college, he was a guy that they were comparing him to Isiah Simmons, I believe, when he came out of college. And I was like, dude, what are you guys are twisted. He is not Isiah Simmons. He's more of a guy that could play strong safety and free safety, not a guy that could play linebacker and safety. And that's what we need. We need a guy that could play strong safety and free safety. Because Johnson, he hasn't been at the strong safety position, so he could get hurt anytime. Well, any player could get hurt anytime. But Cisco's a guy who's a Pro Bowl caliber safety who just gets hurt, So Jeremey Chinn will fill in that role for Cisco. Jeremey Chinn, I believe, could do that, but obviously, is Jeremey Chinn willing to accept that role? And what kind of money does he want? Because obviously, we're kind of going to be squeezing money. Who I really want from the offseason is Cristian Wilkins for that interior pressure and his character. And then if we get Martindale, I believe Isiah Simmons will follow. Was Martindale and Wilkins, because he would be playing with Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Cristian Wilkins, and then he would be playing with the defensive coordinator that he had the most success with, that actually knew how to use him. So I think that would be an easy, just boom. Look, our defense is actually going to pressure the quarterback consistently just because of that. Signing Martindale, Cristian Wilkins, Isiah Simmons, boom. Our defensive line is stacked just like that. And we haven't even got to the draft. So that's what I would do this offseason. But we'll see what the Jaguars do. Hopefully they get Cristian Wilkins because, like I said, character and that pressure inside. So that's who I want at the very least. So it's been taking me a minute to make this video because I've been really picky about the draft, because this draft is super important for the Jaguars, because if they literally miss on any of these draft prospects or draft picks, it's basically over for the Jaguars, and I truly mean that. It's basically over if they miss on these draft picks, so I've been kind of mixing things around what the Jaguars should do, who's more valuable, who's more important to the team, who, that's the ceiling for a player. I'm really very picky about what the Jaguars are going to do right for this draft class because that's how important it is. So by the time I made this video, Ryan Neasley is the defensive coordinator that hired him as a defensive coordinator. He's from Atlanta. Before that, he was with the Saints. That's why I have the Saints picture, because I believe if there's a bright side to look at Ryan Neasley, is to look at that defensive line for the Saints and how great they were when he was there, and then look at them now, and they weren't that great. The Saints defensive line, they weren't that great this year. Could that be because of age or because they lost players on the defensive line? Maybe that could be the answer, but hopefully it's because of Ryan Neasley, how great of a job he did over there. Now, in terms of play calling, I don't know if he's great at that. I hope he is. But coaching, it seems like he's going to be a higher energy guy. He obviously loves the sport of football. Everybody should love the sport of football if you're at that level, I watched some of his NC State videos. He's very high energy when he's out there coaching. Kind of reminds me of a college coach, because that's what he was at the time. But I don't think that has changed for him. I think that's just his style, But after watching a couple of interviews and watching the NC State practice footage, it's great for Trayvon Walker. That's the bottom line. It's great for Trayvon Walker, Doug Peterson, Well, I don't know if this is Doug Peter. That's the thing. Is it a Doug Peterson hire or is it a Trent Baalke hire? I feel like it's a Trent Baalke hire because it benefits Trayvon Walker the most. And I feel like Trayvon Walker's the reason why we didn't get any edge in the trade deadline or early in the season because he didn't want to, take minutes away from him. But anyways, Ryan Neasley. Is his name Neasley? I might be saying his fucking last name so wrong. I'm so sorry. But Ryan, he coaches the fundamentals for that defensive line. He shows them what to do. And like I said, that benefits Trayvon Walker the best. And with that being said, if Trayvon Walker doesn't have a phenomenal third year, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If he does not have a phenomenal third year, and what I mean by phenomenal third year is having consistent pressure on the quarterback when he's on the field. If you have consistent pressure on the quarterback, I have no issues with Trayvon Walker. But if you could do that, and I think Ryan could really help him with that, swatting the hands down, using swim moves, using the rip move, using the push-pull move, moving your legs, chopping your feet, doing all those basic stuff. I think he could coach Trayvon Walker to do that. So that's why I feel like it's a Trent Baalke move because it helps Trayvon Walker. But, I don't know how he is in terms of play calling. I'm a little frustrated because I really, really wanted Martindale. By hiring Martindale, you can add so many pieces, dude. Obviously, Cristian Wilkins, hopefully they still pursue him in free agency. He's still not off the board, even though they signed him or signed Ryan. So hopefully they pursue Wilkins in free agency. But Isiah Simmons is probably less likely now. I honestly didn't. I don't know how do I say this. I wanted Isiah Simmons on the team, but if we couldn't get him, I was okay with it. But the idea of Martindale coming to the team, to me, felt like Isiah Simmons would really, really follow him, especially if he's playing with his boys. Like, I just feel like you add more talent just by signing a head coach, Just by signing... No, not a head coach. I'm stupid. Signing a coach. By signing Martindale, you add talent to your team. And I feel like with Ryan, you kind of are just the same, It doesn't really benefit the team all that much, except for the pass rushers. Like, they might get a little bit more pass rush, but it's like... to me, the talent wasn't... I mean, not the talent. To me, talent was the issue on that defensive line. Josh Allen, he's obviously the best pass rusher on that defensive line. But that was the thing, if Josh Allen didn't get to the quarterback was going to do whatever he wanted to the defense, So to me, talent was the problem, not coaching. So, yeah, that's why signing Martindale would have been way much better because obviously he has experience. Martindale's a great coach, and you add talent from free agency like nothing with Martindale, in my opinion. So Ryan, hopefully he helps that defensive line to the best of his abilities, and it helps, most importantly, Trayvon Walker live up to his first overall draft status, So yeah, that's all I gotta say. And now let's get into the drafts. Alright. Like I said, this draft class is super, super important for the Jaguars. It would determine if the Jaguars are a great team in the future or if they're, a sorry team in the future. If they're a rebuilding team to a competitive team who is competing for a Super Bowl. So we're pushing all our chips forward for these picks because this draft class determines who will be for the next couple of years. And it sucks that we're in this position, but we all could thank Trent Baalke for having shitty drafts for the past 2 years. So it is what it is. We're here now, and let's deal with it. Let's fix it And hopefully Trent Baalke doesn't. Hopefully Trent Baalke doesn't screw it up, because all I could do is hope and pray that he doesn't. And I'm just gonna show you what I would do. And the 17th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm trading up for Romeo Odunze. They have him going number 5. And if he does go number 5 or up there, I'm not trading up for him. I feel like it would be basically impossible to do that. But those guys who are up there shouldn't be drafting receivers or anything like that. They should be drafting linemen and quarterbacks, and possibly Marvin Harris Jr. to whoever he falls to. Look at Washington, horrible line. Look at the Giants, horrible line. Look at the Patriots, they need a quarterback. And the reason why I don't mind overpaying for Romeo Odunze is because he's a number 1 receiver. And you're probably like, why? We could get one in free agency. You can't get one in free agency. Here's why. We have to pay Josh Allen. We're paying Christian Kirk. We're paying Cam Robinson. We would love Ridley back after the draft. We're paying for a D tackle, which we desperately need. And that's why I'm picking Romeo Odunze, because he's a true number 1. He can play outside. He can play inside. For the Jaguars, he's playing outside. I'm doing whatever it takes to get Romeo Odunze on the team, because I want that number 1 receiver for Trevor Lawrence. And then if Calvin Ridley comes back, that makes our offense so much scarier. But the number 1 issue for the Jaguars is that offensive line. Troy Fautanu, he played tackle at Washington. He's 6'4". He's going to be moving inside. It's a no-brainer. He's what the Jaguars need. In terms of line, he brings that intensity. He moves bodies. He is what the Jaguars need, especially at left guard, right guard. Doesn't matter which one he plays. I would put him at left guard if I were them. But I would not be mad if they draft him. But there's mocks where he gets drafted earlier or before the Jaguars pick. But to me, if Troy Fautanu is there for the taking, I'm taking him. And then some other ideas that I would like the Jaguars to think of. Keon Coleman, he's an outside receiver. If you look at our receiving group, they're all slot receivers. Calvin Ridley's a slot receiver. Christian Kirk's a slot receiver. Parker Washington's a slot receiver. Evan Ingram's a slot receiver. Zay Jones is kind of a mixture of both, but he's like the only one, But he's not a true outside receiver, in my opinion. He's just a little in between. But Keon Coleman, he's an outside receiver. You can move him into the slot, but to make those mismatches on the smaller defensive back, because most of the time that's what it's gonna be. But he's a true outside receiver. He has huge hands. He's a moss machine. And I feel like that's what the Jaguars need. A guy who can make those crazy plays, make those just highlight reel plays, bring that energy up for that team. And then we also got this guy from South Carolina. I honestly don't know his name. I watched some of his tape. This guy's just a straight-up anomaly. So if they draft him right there, I would not be mad. And ironically, he's wearing number 17. In the second round, I feel like no matter what, we do need 2 picks in the second round. And like I said, these early picks, the Panthers, the Patriots, Washington, Bears, I feel like would be way open for next year's draft, because they are a long ways from competing in any sort of thing. So more picks for them is better, from this year's draft or next year's draft, or maybe we give them a player. Those guys would definitely be open for trades. And I feel like we definitely need to trade with somebody in the second round if they don't do it in the first round, because I truly believe we need 2 picks in the second round. My first pick in the second round will be Roku Arroyo. Oh my gosh, one of the announcers did his name so well, and then I memorized it, and then I just straight up forgot forgot. I forgot it. He's from Clemson. What I love about him is that he takes on double teams. Like, he truly, like, he does that the whole game. He takes on double teams, and if they single cover him, he beats that guy and he gets to the quarterback. He's great in the run game. The only negative I would say about him in the run game is that he kind of over pursuits plays. Like, he cuts off the edge, he does that. But by doing that, he gives them a gap and a cutback lane. He gives them a cutback lane. Sometimes he was a little bit more patient, letting the run develop, and then boom, making his play. But majority of the time, he would try to over pursuit it and then leaving open that cutback lane. And luckily, his linebackers were good enough to stop it, or maybe his defensive tackle friend would clean up his little mess. I believe he'll be a great defensive player for the Jaguars because, like I said, he truly takes on double teams. If you get Cristian Wilkins, I believe that'll be a good duo for him. And then obviously the Jaguars do have great linebackers. And like I said, his only issue is really just kind of over pursuing plays. But I feel like he will develop that more patient, understanding that. Especially if you got, what's his name? Ryan. Ryan should be a great teacher for him. And then number 2, Zach Minter from Michigan. He's not a wow player, I want to say, but he does everything right, everything great. He does his job. Like, that's literally what he is. He does his job. He moves the pile if he needs to. He's great in pass blocking, but he's not gonna absolutely destroy people. He's not gonna put on these highlight reel roaches, highlight reel blocks, but he's gonna get in the way. He's gonna move these people out the way. He's gonna do his job. So that will be my second round pick right there. And then we're going with our center. We're going to go with Limmer from Arkansas. This guy's a big, strong center. I mean, he squats 700 pounds on his back. His footwork is a little sloppy. They have him ranked as a 4th round pick. I'm picking him in the 3rd because this is the position that we need desperately. I truly feel like that he could be a legit star center. You just got to fix a little bit of his technical abilities, but he moves the piles, and like I said, once he gets his hands on you, it's over. Once he gets his hand on him, he's great in double team blocks as well. I'm selecting him in the 3rd round because the center position is as well very top heavy. Look at the top 4. Powers is obviously the best one out of all of them. Frazier's well coached center, but he does have his little iffies. And then the Georgia guy, I don't really like the Georgia guy. Who's the other one? Oh, no, then Limmer is the 3rd one, I believe. And they have him ranked in the 4th. And then the one behind him is the Michigan guy. I don't mind the Michigan guy as well. I mean, it'd be a little bit ironic if he get as his buddy and then him. It'd be pretty cool, but a little bit, ironic. But who could blame you, if you draft both Michigan guys, because they ran the football well, and that's what the Jaguars need to be able to run the football. But Limmer is the guy that I would pick because I feel like he has a higher ceiling, higher potential to unlock. And I think with our coach, our offensive line coach, he's a very good coach. I believe with Limmer's talent, he could unlock his abilities. And then with my 5th pick, I'm going with Luke McCaffrey. Most people will say this is very high, and I would agree with you, but I believe all the GMs are going to be adjusting. They're going to finally understand that, oh my God, we could select these receivers later around and get a stud. For example, Puka, who else? Wicks. Wicks was a guy. Bo Melton was a guy. Palmer from the Bucks, he was a guy. You could get guys on late picks, and I feel like GMs are going to start picking receivers. So I'm taking my guy, Luke McCaffrey. He was a quarterback back in the day. He went to receiver. Look at his statistics. They improve every year, Yeah, he went for 700 and something yards in his first year, and then he went to 900 yards, nearly 1,000 yards. And he's going to improve every year. Like, he's just that. And him being a quarterback, he's going to have more of an understanding of his routes. and that's what I want from him. He's gonna be that Julian Edelman type of a player for us, physical and very smart. So that's why I'm picking Luke McCaffrey. Was my fourth round pick, very high, but I have high hopes for him because of that grit he has. And then if Allen is in the fourth round, I'm trading up for him and I'm selecting him. Honestly, he's 20 years old as well. He has that NFL style already, you know. I was watching some of his highlights of this year because I already knew, like, I seen him play a lot at Wisconsin already, but I watched his 2023 stats. He looked a little heavier than he was, you know, in those other years. So hopefully he can lose a little bit more weight, because to me that's what made him great in his early years, was because he was like slimmer and taller. He'll break those tackles, but because of his ball vision, his footwork, able to jump and find those gaps and take off. Where this year he was doing that, but he just didn't have that speed because he was a little heavier than he was in our past season. So Allen, I'm selecting him because he has that NFL style already, and because we need a power back, and Allen is that guy. He's 6'2", and he sees the holes and he hits them. So that's why I'm selecting him if he's in the fourth round. And also Shipley. Shipley might fall as well. Shipley is a guy. And then with my fifth pick, Muhammad, they had him going in the seventh round. I think the website that I used for like researching these guys, well, not researching them, but like to, you know, search their names, what schools they went to, and then watch their tape. Muhammad I already knew of, but I've seen him ranked or projected in the seventh round was just disrespectful, bro. If he falls past the third round, it's disrespectful. He should be a day 2 guy. But hey, if he's here in the fifth round, I'm selecting him. No brainer. It's an easy steal, but pretty unlikely. Here's some other guys I would select. Say Muhammad does get selected in the third round. I think the slot corner from Penn State, I think his name's Hardy. He's a stud. He's like 5'9", 5'8". He's a little bit smaller, but he's legit in coverage. I may trade one of the linebackers away, so JD will be a great 6th round pick or something like that. JD. But my 6th round and 7th round picks might be gone anyways, because I'm be using them to trade in the fourth or something like that. Like I said, I had a little bit of trouble making these mocks. You know, like this was my first mock right here. This is like a dream mock essentially, because no way Troy falls to the second round, and Rice I believe will get selected in the second as well because of his name, and then Limmer I think is gonna go in the third round as well, and even though he's ranked in the fourth, and then Muhammad is gonna be selected in the third round. So this is like a dream draft, but this shit would never happen. So I went over here. This is a draft that we just did right now. Romeo Odunze trading up, and then trading up in the second round. Basically having 2 picks. I think 2 picks in the second round is a must. Getting that nose D tackle, and Zach Minter from Michigan, a great guard right there, and our center who's gonna be basically a developmental guy, but he will take over that job very easily. So Limmer was that 3rd round pick. And then Brandon Allen for our power back, because we fucking need one. And then Luke McCaffrey for that slot, who's going to be more of he's going to play our Julian Edelman guy for the team. High IQ and toughness. And then Muhammad if he falls, but I highly doubt that. So I made this one. If the Jaguars do go with, you know, Troy in the first round, so we go Troy, Row. Like I said, I think it's a must to have 2 second-round picks. So we go with our nose tackle, D tackle from Clemson. Then we go with Johnny Wilson in the second round. I feel like he'll be there no matter what, and he's an outside receiver as well. 6'4", long, contested ball catcher. I like that pick right there. Our tone center for the offensive line in Troy, and then we get an outside receiver still, and then we get Limmer. It was our 3rd round pick, our center of the future, and we still get our running back, and we get the Julian Edelman type of player. Going with Romeo Odunze, look at our offense. Calvin Ridely and Odunze on the same field will be crazy. Calvin Ridley wants to stay in the Jaguars. He still wants his money, but I feel like getting Romeo Odunze hopefully would motivate him. This could be his second year with Trevor Lawrence. He will still be the guy, but you can't double cover Calvin Ridley no more. You have to give some attention to Romeo Odunze out there on the other side. I think it just benefits everybody by getting Romeo Odunze. Christian Kirk, obviously, he's going to be open a lot more as well. Same as Evan Ingram. And then Parker Washington, he's our gadget guy. Luke McCaffrey is basically a gadget guy as well. He's just going to basically learn this year, but he's going to be at Julian Edelman, where if one of our guys goes down, he's going to fill in for that role. Zay Jones, he's a possible cut if we need the money or anything like that. Walker Little, we could probably trade him because he does have value, but he helps our team a lot. Bringing back Cam Robinson as our Cleveland. DeForest Johnson. That's why I was a little confused with why they drafted Tank Bigsby, because we had DeForest Johnson already, and DeForest Johnson's a great back. To me, you just need 3. We had Hasty and Johnson last year. I don't know why Tank Bigsby was the guy. And then you look at this year's draft class. They have a lot of great backs in this year's draft class. At 20 years old, I feel like he's NFL ready. Obviously, he needs to grow into that man muscle. So, give him a little bit of time. I think he'll be a great back in the NFL. But look at our offensive line. Cam Robinson, it's basically the same. Minter and Limmer, those guys are going to have to do a lot of great things for us. But I will say this, we will be able to run the football with those 2 guys on the field. That's what they do. They move bodies. But we just don't have that tone center except for Cam Robinson on that offensive line. But we do have Romeo Odunze and Calvin Ridley. That's a scary matchup for anybody. And then look at our defense. Our defense, nothing really changed. Devin Lloyd and Chad Mumba are guys that could possibly be moved in trades. Williams, a possible cut, cap casualty right there, and Christian Basewell as well. Our Clemson guy, he's our main guy. Like, we're literally kind of building around him. He's the nose tackle. He's taking on 2 blockers, opening things up for Cristian Wilkins, and helping out Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker. And then Isiah Simmons, if you could get him as well, that'd be great, but pretty unlikely at this moment. That's basically it. That's what I would do in this year's offseason.